Get ready for the Fox Report. Day 106 in the search for Chandra Levy, and now a balloon floats. Gary Condit may run again for Congress, and he just may be speaking with the media. We're live in Modesto. Israel invades a Palestinian city, destroys a police station. Retaliation or aggression? We're live in the battle-scarred Mideast. A new stadium with a new name, but whether it's Investco Field or Mile High depends on the newspaper you read. Corporate backlash in the Colorado Rockies. Researching a new form of in vitro fertilization, freezing the mother's eggs before they're ever fertilized, before they become embryos. The potential and the challenges in a report you'll see on just one network. The flying wing, airborne, and the amazing waiter race, as Fox reports right now.
Live from the world headquarters of Fox News, the most powerful name in news, the Fox Report with Shepard Smith. Fair news, balanced news, now.
106 days later, Gary Condit is not backing down, and not only is he not resigning, he's moving ahead with plans for a massive fundraiser for a re-election campaign and planning, it's been said, to talk to the media, quote, very soon. All of this as Fox reports tonight, day 106 in the search for Chandra Levy. The missing intern's fathers and family says that the family's not interested in playing politics, denying a report they offered to do attack ads for Republicans.
So it's really not about that, it's really trying to find our daughter and get to the truth of it, and it's not really politics.
Well, it is for some people. One of Condit's fellow Democrats now says lots of people think the congressman is, quote, crazy. A Fox report now from Trace Gallagher, live for us in Modesto. Trace.
And Shepard, Gary Condit could have a lot of trouble keeping his job. As we've told you, 3 local prominent newspapers have already called for his resignation. Many of his Democratic colleagues are no longer supporting him. And this huge anti-Condit contingent is getting larger, getting louder, and getting angrier. But still, Condit aides say that he will seek re-election. He wants to keep his job. Fox has also confirmed they are planning Condit Country, which is this massive fundraiser this year to be held on October 20th. This could also be a very good barometer for Gary Condit, because normally this thing draws upwards of 5,000 people and raises a boatload of money. Could be very interesting to find out how many people will be on hand this year. They are also gauging corporate support, because to pull this thing off, they need a great deal of corporate sponsorship, and that also could be a key factor in whether this fundraiser comes off or not. Gary Condit says he will speak soon to the media. Apparently soon is defined by him as late August or early September. Sources telling Fox News it will happen sometime around Labor Day. And now there are reports that Abby Lowell, Condit's attorney, is also negotiating with the different networks, trying to see if he can arrange some kind of a sit-down prime-time interview with Gary Condit. That, too, said to be happening sometime around Labor Day. Shepard.
Trace Gallagher, live in Modesto. A Kennedy cousin accused of murder, and the key witness turns up dead. So now what happens on the eve of the case going back to court? Greg Coleman, one-time schoolmate of Kennedy cousin Michael Skakel, tells police that Skakel admitted he killed 15-year-old Martha Moxley and bragged about getting away with it. Coleman now dead of a drug overdose, but not before going on the record twice about his conversations with Skakel while at a school for troubled kids. At issue now, will Greg Coleman's words ever be heard by a jury?
I think if it is a big blow to the prosecution, that the prosecution is going to have a very hard time winning this case. I think they have to have more than these students from the Elon school.
The case is not one person. It's many people saying the same thing, that Michael Skakel confessed to killing Martha.
Well, the Kennedy cousin accused of the 1975 murder of his neighbor Martha Moxley. Moxley found dead under a tree, beaten and bloody. Cops say the murder weapon was a golf club owned by the Skakel family. A Fox report now from David Lee Miller, live with us from Stamford, Connecticut. David Lee.
Hi there, Shep. You're so right. Gregory Coleman is going to be on everyone's mind here tomorrow when this hearing gets underway. He, of course, the prosecution's star witness who died just 1 week ago from a drug overdose. The question still to be determined now is whether or not his pretrial testimony can be introduced into evidence and one day read to a jury. It is very possible that tomorrow we could have the prosecution filing a motion to that effect. If that does happen, Skakel's attorney, Mickey Sherman, has gone on record, has told Fox News that he will oppose the introduction of Coleman's testimony. Also, Skakel's attorney tomorrow is expected to file other motions to try to get his hands on all types of evidentiary matters, including forensic tests and photographs. Now, as for the prosecution, it is expected that during the hearing, they're going to ask the judge to issue some type of a restricted gag order that in some ways would limit just how much the attorneys in this very public case can say once they are outside of the courtroom itself. And finally, on a completely different track, the defense in this case has gone to the state Supreme Court asking that this case be returned to juvenile court where it originally began. Now, they're saying that because at the time of the crime, 1975, now 40-year-old Michael Skakel was only 15 years old. And they say, despite that fact, he should now be treated as a juvenile. Shep, back to you.
David Lee Miller, live with us from the site of the trial in Connecticut. The Middle East now on the brink of new violence. Just hours after Israeli tanks rolled into the West Bank town of Jenin, as Fox reports tonight, breaking news now, tanks reported on the outskirts of the birthplace of Jesus. A dozen tanks standing, waiting, as others gather at two other West Bank towns. The region still reeling from the attack 24 hours ago in Jenin. Palestinians getting ready to resist if tanks do cross over into Bethlehem. Demonstrations and gun battles underway in several towns on the West Bank already. Neither side giving any sign it's ready to back down.
Palestinian Authority has not lifted a finger to stop these operations against Israeli civilians. So Israel sent a message of Palestinian accountability. Stop the terrorism and stop it now.
We see this attack as a very escalating act in the already tense situation in the region. And it's our right to defend our people against this policy of the occupation.
And to that end, as gunfire echoes through the West Bank towns, the United States appeals to both sides to pull back from the brink of full-on war. But with Israeli tanks on the move and Palestinians digging in for a fight, could it be too late? Team Fox coverage tonight. Senior correspondent Rita Cosby on standby in Washington. Jennifer Griffin live with us from Jerusalem. Jennifer.
Shep, as you mentioned, Israeli ground troops were gathering on the outskirts of Bethlehem and Beit Jala in the West Bank tonight. But sources tell Fox News that orders have been given and those troops are not going into the West Bank at this time. Local radio was reporting that there were gunmen, Palestinian gunmen, waiting in town squares, gathering with heavy weapons, and that if those Israeli troops went in, it may not have been as clean and easy as it was the night before when those tanks moved into Jenin. Tanks and bulldozers moved into the West Bank city of Jenin, a city the Israelis believe is a nest for the suicide bombers who've been plaguing Israeli towns and cities in recent weeks. It was the first time Israeli troops have entered a city controlled by the Palestinians since the 1993 Oslo Peace Accord. They were out before dawn and there were no casualties on either side. The operation into Jenin was Israel's answer to two recent suicide bombings, including the one that killed 15 people last Thursday in a Jerusalem pizzeria. You'll remember, Shep, we reported last week about one family, the Shevis Hooters, who lost 5 family members in that bomb blast. 8-year-old Haya Shevis Hooter lost her mother, her father, and 3 brothers and sisters. From her hospital bed, she spoke about her last moments with her family after the explosion. She said in Hebrew, "I saw my brother Abraham there for the last time, and I wanted to tell him for the last time goodbye, but he didn't reply. He just lay there." Haya said she didn't believe it when she was told that most of her family had died in that attack. She said she didn't cry because she still doesn't believe they're gone. Shep?
Tanks on the brink outside Bethlehem. We'll go back to Jennifer Griffin live for breaking developments. In the meantime, some of the groups behind the terror attacks, like this one last week that claimed those 15 lives, are raising money right here in the United States. The groups using the World Wide Web to spread their message and collect funds. The FBI and other law enforcement agencies trying to crack down, but it is far from easy. For one thing, the feds have to be respectful of everyone's free speech rights. So just what can be done? Team Fox coverage continues now. Rita Cosby in D.C. Rita.
Shepard, terrorism groups estimate that tens of millions of dollars from U.S. citizens go to terrorist groups overseas every year. And now law enforcement officials see a lot of the fundraising coming over the web via sites like this one. Now, the FBI is concerned about this and many other sites that are backed by either Islamic, Jewish, or even Hindu terrorist groups. And in recent months, with the violent attacks increasing, particularly in the Mideast, law enforcement officials say that they have seen more and more websites showing pictures of the damage left behind after terrorist strikes, and also statements encouraging extremist groups to carry out further attacks. At least 12 known terrorist organizations, including the Islamic Jihad and Hamas, have been barred from conducting business in the U.S., but finding them on the web and closing them down are difficult. That's because many of these websites are placed under assumed names and are not directly listed to those known terrorist groups. In other cases, the sites are set up for only a brief period, sometimes for only a few days, and are used as a means of communicating a particular message to followers who have been told exactly when to log on. Law enforcement officials also have to be careful not to trample on the First Amendment, which protects free speech no matter how inflammatory. And that's why often federal agencies can't get involved until the websites show plans for a particular attack or some other illegal activity. Shep.
Senior correspondent Rita Cosby live in Washington. A convicted killer on death row putting the Supreme Court between a rock and a hard place. But some of the justices with a personal tie to this case and throwing the court into a dilemma. Your backyard could be a ticking time bomb. Thousands of homes across the nation built on land that might actually be a land mine. Couples going to great lengths to have children, trying in vitro fertilization, then a heartbreaking decision. What do you do with the leftover embryos? Now parents may not have to make that choice anymore. Tonight, it's a story you'll see on just one network. From the news capital of the world, live to homes around the globe, this is your news, fair and balanced. News with a pulse. News not boring. This is the Fox Report on Fox News Channel.
For about $1 a bottle, you can buy clean, pure water. Or for about a nickel, you can fill one up yourself. Pure water filters. Pure water made easy.
Buick Summer Drive Away adds bonus cash. Through August 31st, get a Buick Open Golf bonus on top of closeout cash on every new 2001 Buick. Drive away with total cash back offers ranging from $2,400 to $3,900. Hurry! Golf bonus cash ends August 31st. Buick's great summer drive away. And be sure and test drive your all-new 2002 Rendezvous at your Buick dealer now.
Can't get enough of you, baby.
Refinancing your mortgage may be easier than you think. Just log on to Ditech.com or call 1-800-71-FIX. Today's low fixed rate with 0 points is only 6.875%. With interest rates lower, now may be a great time to get cash or use the equity in your home to consolidate bills. It's smart money from Ditech.com. Apply online or call us at 1-800-71-FIX.
My job, no matter what happens, the show must go on. So I took control with Depend Protective Underwear, the closest thing to regular underwear out there. Now in new super absorbent with the Depend protection I trust. All I have to worry about now is hitting the high notes. Take control with new Depend.
This is Florence Henderson. Join me in the fight against breast cancer. Register today for City of Hope's Walk for Hope against breast cancer. Call 800-266-7920 or visit our website at walk.coh.org.
Graphic testimony in a Texas courtroom. The ringleader of the so-called Texas 7, George Rivas, accused of killing Officer Aubrey Hawkins on Christmas Eve last year. An investigator testified Hawkins' body was riddled with bullets before Hawkins could even put his squad car in park. Hawkins was then pulled under the ground, according to the testimony, and run over. George Rivas already admits he killed Hawkins, but says he didn't mean to do it. If convicted, Rivas could face the death penalty. Convicted killer Napoleon Beasley on death row on what could be his last day alive. This week, with Beasley's life on the line, he asked the Supreme Court to stop the sentence from being carried out. The court denying the request for a stay of execution after 3 justices did something that has never happened on the Supreme Court case before. A Fox report now from Brian Wilson.
There are an odd number of Supreme Court justices by design. The Founding Fathers settled on 9 justices in order to avoid tie votes. But the Founding Fathers probably never anticipated what happened this week when the High Court considered a stay of execution request from Texas inmate Napoleon Beasley. Beasley was convicted of killing Tyler, Texas businessman John Luddig in a 1994 carjacking attempt. But Luddig's son is federal appeals court judge J. Michael Luddig. Judge Luddig is a man with high-level Washington connections. He was once a clerk for Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. He also advised Justices Clarence Thomas and David Souter during their confirmation hearings. So when the stay of execution request came to the Supreme Court, Scalia, Thomas, and Souter recused themselves, citing a conflict of interest. The federal statutes guiding the judiciary say a justice shall disqualify himself in any proceeding in which his impartiality might reasonably be called into question. Still, court watchers say
it's very unusual, unprecedented. There is one other case many years back where there was a 4-4 split because one justice was sick.
The recusals paved the way for a 3-3 tie Supreme Court vote on the stay of execution. Since it takes a majority vote in the High Court to win a stay of execution, Beasley's stay was denied. Now, still pending, a motion to review Beasley's case on the merits. But the High Court is under no obligation to consider that matter. As it stands now, Beasley is slated to be executed in Texas on Wednesday. And though his supporters make the case that a tie should not go to the executioner, there seems to be little now that can stop this planned execution from going forward. In Washington, Brian Wilson, Fox News.
Dozens of wildfires gobbling up parts of the United States West. Hundreds of thousands of acres gone in a matter of days. The firefight in the forest costing millions of dollars. Is there an end in sight? A gang of sharks on the prowl off Florida's coast. Look at that. Dozens and dozens of them invading a vacation hotspot. Now the experts with a life or death warning. A custody battle over unborn children. A divorced couple in a fight over their own frozen embryos. Now the case, the would-be parents headed for the High Court.
A fair and balanced report is coming up next.
Want more from a sport utility? Test drive the all-wheel drive Subaru Outback. More ground clearance than a Ford Explorer Sport. More cargo space than a Jeep Cherokee. More miles per gallon than any leading midsize SUV. Add a smooth car-like ride and you have a sport utility with a whole lot more. Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon. Get financing as low as 2.9% APR on all 2001 models.
It's off to work we go. Keep on singing all day long. Hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. Gonna make your troubles go.
Want happy employees? Help secure their financial futures. At the Principal Financial Group, that's what we do. The Principal is the 401k leader. Financial solutions for you and growing businesses.
Who's our 401k?
The Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for.
Guys, did you get everything?
Yep. They even had his school supply list.
Pencils?
Number 2s, 10-pack.
Backpack?
At Staples, we have teacher-supplied back-to-school lists, so you'll find everything in one place at everyday low prices.
Honey, what's that?
It's a multi-function flatbed all-in-one printer, copier, fax machine, scanner.
Not on the list.
School supply list. Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
For a book report or something.
Your toothbrush lives in a pretty questionable neighborhood. Your bathroom, home to millions of airborne germs. Introducing the first antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush from Butler Gum. It's the only one treated with a clean coating that prevents germs from flourishing on its bristles. 3 antibacterial brush heads are included. It keeps itself cleaner, no matter what moves into the area. Get the new antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush, only from Butler Gum.
A massive refinery fire lighting up the dark sky for miles, flames leaping for hours, and today, a fiery crash and explosion turns an interstate into a parking lot. We'll go across America as the Fox Report continues.
A little short on entertainment? How would you like a non-stop joyride?
I'll take it.
How about guaranteed exhilaration?
I'll take it.
Showtime Unlimited gives you 200 exclusive movies every month, guaranteed. 50 very original shows, guaranteed. 10 channels, just $10.99.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You'll get it. You'll get it. Call now for the best value on Dish Network.
I'll take it.
Guaranteed.
I'll tell you what.
What?
I'll take it.
How much PC can $849 get you? More PC than we can tell you about in 30 seconds. The compact Presario 5000T. Let us build one for you. Call us direct at 1-800-336-1366 for all this, and we'll double your memory for free. A super-fast Intel Pentium 3 processor, CD-ROM, accelerated graphics, pro-quality audio system, monitor, one-touch internet access, lots of memory, plus 5 color choices, red, green, blue, purple, and orange, and that's just for starters. Hey, do I have time to mention the...
Some passengers on Midway Airlines looking for other flights now. The airline ending service to 5 airports as that company files for bankruptcy protection. Midway also laying off half of its workers, including almost 200 pilots. As of this report, Midway's no longer flying out of Buffalo, Rochester, Dayton, Pittsburgh, or Washington, D.C. Service ends to Los Angeles, San Jose, Birmingham, Providence later this month, and will be reduced everywhere else. Midway's troubles being blamed on a cutback in business travel. The 2001 fire season slipping into high gear in the West. Dozens of wildfires burning in California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington State. In Nevada alone, more than 200,000 acres have burned since just last week, including the 82,000-acre blaze near Battle Mountain. Firefighters only now declaring that fire contained. In Oregon, hot weather and forests dried out by drought, adding to all of the problems which already exist. Oregon's now sending $1 million a day fighting those wildfires. A different kind of fire lighting up the night sky over Chicago's suburb, an oil leak and a refinery igniting at the Citgo place in Romaville. Flames reaching 200 feet into the air, but no serious injury to workers or firefighters. Still no word on what triggered that blaze. The refinery's crude oil processing unit shut down as a result. Saying it's a great day to be home, John Tobin cut a yellow ribbon off a tree at his hometown of Ridgefield, Connecticut. Tobin a long way from the Russian jail and prison cells he had to sit in for 6 months. The Fulbright scholar serving half of a 1-year sentence for a marijuana charge. He says he was framed for refusing to spy for Russian authorities. Tobin says he was never mistreated, but he's happy to be home.
When I first saw those ribbons, it really just, hit me deep on how much support people came out with, and people really took an interest in this. And it's just so great to see that. It's something that doesn't happen in many countries.
Yeah, that's the upside. Tobin says the downside of it all, being unable to tell his family and friends that he was doing okay. And now from our newsrooms, coast to coast, Fox reports across America. California, freeway nightmare. A highway striping truck rolling under the busy 101 freeway near Camarillo crashes. Propane tanks exploding one after another. A massive fire leading to all of this. Ventura Fire Department says 2 people killed. KTTV in Los Angeles says 3 have died. And the major north-south freeway from LA to Santa Barbara shut down for hours on end. Michigan, a guy in Detroit in target practice with a bow and arrow, misses his mark and hits a kitty cat. The arrow just missing Kitty's spinal column. A vet gets the arrowhead out, cat will be okay, and the misfiring neighbor, well, he's offering to pay the vet bills. North Carolina, the state's one and only alligator farm in Richmond County. The gators hatched from wild eggs gathered in Florida. The meat and hide sold when the reptiles get about 5 feet long. The farmer says it's no more dangerous than having a pit bull in your backyard. Florida, hundreds of sharks gathering in the Gulf of Mexico off Pasco County. Look at this. Bull sharks, hammerheads, nurse sharks, some of them 10 feet long, and no one's quite sure why they're all there at the same time. It's especially odd, say the experts, because there are different species mingling together. No one's been bitten, and the no swimming flags are flying as part of a fox watch across America. What's in your backyard? How about under your backyard? Your home could be sitting on an explosive secret. The bombs that time and the Army forgot. A custody battle with no children heading to the Supreme Court. A woman accusing her husband of trying to make her a mother against her will. That's all ahead as Fox reports tonight.
So, what is this?
Sweet. Cool. Introducing the all-in-one Lexmark X83. It copies and scans in high definition, prints with 2400 DPI photo quality, and will change the way you look at printers forever.
Hey, this is good.
The all-in-one X83. For only $199. Lexmark. Passion for printing ideas.
Oh, I get it.
Have you looked at your long-distance bill lately? Wow. Are you kidding me? Ouch. That's gotta hurt. Sprint 500 Anytime is the perfect way to keep your long-distance bills under control. For just $25 a month, you get 500 minutes of state-to-state long-distance you can use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're looking for a smarter long-distance plan, Sprint 500 Anytime is a slam dunk. To start lowering your bills, call 1-800-PIN-DROP today.
Now I had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you.
Sandals, voted the world's best all-inclusives, is a paradise as romantic as the rhythms of the sea. 10 magnificent resorts nestled on 4 exotic islands. Dive into waters as pure and blue as the Caribbean skies above, and stroll on sand as soft and smooth as a soothing caress. Ride the winds, dance on the beach, indulge in infinite pampering and endless pleasures. Escape to this world of dreams. Sandals All-Inclusive Resorts, where love is all you need because everything else is included.
Now I had the time of my life.
This week only save 30% on our sensational sandals sale. Call your travel agent or 1-800-SANDALS.
Tonight, lay off Israel or else. Why the conference on racism could be in real jeopardy on Hannity and Cole. Then,
I think we'll be lucky if we find it, and I think we'll probably find a body.
John Walsh with a grim prediction for Chandra on The Edge with Paula Zahn. It's the most powerful primetime lineup in sight, only on the Fox News Channel. Next, millions of your tax dollars down the drain. Whitewater, was it really worth it? Robert Ray answers all the tough questions next on The O'Reilly Factor.
We're 2 minutes to top stories as Fox reports tonight, but first, bombs in the backyard. The Army is now reporting that there are explosives from World War II buried all across the United States. The one-time military grounds abandoned, plowed over, now neighborhoods with families, kids, and pets live there. The shells, according to the Army, may be live, and who knows, they could be under your house. So is everyone safe? A Fox report now from Mike Tobin.
I'm afraid that we might be blown up.
A dangerous series of finds across America. People are digging up bombs, grenades, all sorts of World War II munitions on their property.
We found 105-millimeter artillery projectiles. They hold approximately 3 pounds of high explosive each. We found 155-millimeter high explosive rounds, and they hold approximately 15 pounds of explosives. We find hand grenades. We'll find landmines.
There are about 9,000 locations nationwide that were used as live fire ranges before soldiers were shipped out for World War II. Decades after the war, homes are going up on the old ranges and bombs are turning up. They can still explode and do.
There was a brush fire, again, near Mineral Wells, on the grounds of the former Camp Walters, and they had 1 or more rounds explode because the fire set them off. So it can happen. It's dangerous.
This is 30 caliber machine gun ammunition built.
Carl Granberry's home is located on the 14,000 acres of Texas land that used to be Camp Fannin, considered by the Army Corps of Engineers one of the most dangerous sites. He dug up a cache of machine gun rounds and knows the next time he puts a shovel in the ground, there may be an explosive there.
Hope I don't find any that's dangerous.
The smokestack stands where the headquarters for Camp Fannin used to be. It's estimated 250,000 soldiers prepared for war here before the camp was shut down in 1946. Like they did on so many other sites, when the troops pulled out, they left their munitions on the then vacant land. But Granberry isn't upset.
It's humbling, really, to think that the training that went on here helped save the world.
Now the Army Corps of Engineers promises a $1 billion cleanup, but funding is a problem, and the cleanup could take years. Near Tyler, Texas, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Bottom of the hour, time for the top of the news and a quick update on Fox Top Stories. The Middle East on the brink of more violence. As Fox reports tonight, tanks are poised just outside the little town of Bethlehem. A dozen or more waiting apparently on further orders. There are also tanks around 2 other Palestinian towns. What happens next is anyone's guess. We're live in the region, just in case. Gary Condit not backing down on day 106 in the search for Chandra Levy. Condit moving ahead with plans for a fundraiser for a re-election campaign, and reports are he's planning to talk to the media very soon. Kennedy cousin Michael Skakel heading back to court, charged with killing a neighbor 25 years ago, even though the key witness against him recently dropped dead. Now a custody battle over kids who aren't even born yet. A divorced couple fighting over frozen embryos left over from in vitro fertilization. The father wants to keep them, but the mother doesn't want any more kids. Now the court, with a catch-22 decision, leaving the fate of those embryos in the father's hands, but saying they can only be implanted in the mother's womb. So what happens now? A Fox report from Eric Shawn, live with us in the Fox newsroom. Eric.
Shepard, it's a complicated case that involves the fate of frozen embryos after a divorce. A New Jersey man will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court the decision by his state's highest court that 7 frozen embryos from his former marriage cannot be implanted in another woman. The man and the woman involved in this case, they both underwent in vitro fertilization to create the embryos. Well, they've never been publicly identified, but the New Jersey State Supreme Court ruled that the man can decide only if the embryos will be destroyed or kept frozen. That is, if he pays for the storage. His lawyer says he doesn't want them destroyed. He's a devout Catholic who believes the embryos are living beings and should be carried to term. The decision upholds a lower court ruling that his ex-wife could decide the embryo's fate, saying she was free to destroy the embryos so she wouldn't become a mother against her will. But the husband wanted to preserve them and have them implanted in a new wife. The couple's 1998 divorce became a custody battle that's not over yet. Shepard, science can get very confusing, so for now, the embryos remain cryogenically frozen, pending the possibility of a ruling by the nation's highest court. Back to you.
Senior correspondent Eric Shawn, live in New York. A down day for the market. Stocks staying flat for most of the session, but late trading saw a lot of falling, despite a better-than-expected Commerce Department report. That report showing that consumers are still spending despite a weak economy. And the consumer sector drives 66% of the economy, fully 2/3. Those numbers helping Home Depot's earnings rise 10%. The retailing giant beating Wall Street's estimates, but warning its second-half growth would be slower than previously forecast. And Walmart, the world's largest retailer, reporting only a 2% rise in profits, also warning its third-quarter profits will land lower than forecast. That had investors taking profits, so by the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 4 points to close at 10,412, and the NASDAQ down 18 points to close at 1,956, or 65, that is. 2 major companies giving Wall Street more grim news today, announcing big layoffs. First, financial services leader Citigroup, saying that it will fire 3,500 workers this year. That's on top of the 1,200 layoffs that have already been announced. 2/3 of the job losses will be in the United States, the company reports. It cites market conditions. Citigroup, the world's largest bank holding company in terms of assets. The Washington Post says that AOL Time Warner is preparing to lay off as many as 1,000 workers. The firings in the online division, that's about 7% of AOL's total workforce. The company struggling to meet financial goals promised to Wall Street. What's in a name? plenty if you're a Denver Broncos fan. A big corporation paying huge bucks to attach its name to good old Mile High Stadium, the new version of the good old. Lots of folks in the hometown newspaper not impressed, and they don't plan to use that name. A Fox report now from Alicia Acuna.
When Denver's new football stadium was inaugurated with a rock concert last week, a new name came with it, Invesco Field at Mile High. But old habits die hard. One of Denver's two major newspapers has announced that it will keep using the name of the old football facility, Mile High Stadium.
We made a policy decision in regards to the style of the newspaper. That's the way the paper will routinely refer to the stadium, as Mile High Stadium, as opposed to Invesco Field at Mile High.
The Denver Post says they'll do it to please the fans, most of whom don't care much for the new name.
Sounds like some kind of weird infection.
Invesco Corporation agreed to pay $120 million over 20 years to have their name attached to the stadium. The Broncos and the city of Denver are the latest in a recent trend, letting go of a nostalgic moniker to raise cash.
The stadium was built with taxpayer money without a dollar of Invesco's money. The public view of that is that they paid for the stadium. They want it to be called Mile High.
The Denver Post decision reportedly has folks in New Jersey a bit concerned. It seems the people who run the Meadowlands Sports Complex and Continental Airlines, the folks who own the naming rights to what was Brendan Byrne Arena, fear that the New York papers will follow suit and refuse to call the facility by its new name, Continental Arena.
We're not advocating to other media in town or across the country about what they should do.
The Denver Post is welcome to do whatever they want.
Other Denver media say they plan to use the new name.
The issue first and foremost is accuracy for us.
As the Denver Broncos enter the first season in their new home, corporations and newspapers may not have the last word on what to call it.
This Bronco Stadium is generally what I call it.
In Denver, Alicia Acuna, Fox News.
Right on. Could we work on Joe Robbie now? A view from the new space station crew's temporary digs from the outside. The three recent arrivals replacing the current crew and hefting thousands of pounds of supplies from Shuttle Discovery to Station Alpha. Not all about moving in, though. The replacements are also going over computer and communication systems. By the time the new guys are picked up in December, they'll have spent 170 days in space. It looks like something out of the early days of powered flight. But NASA's Flying Wing is about as high-tech as they come. Look at this thing. Now the solar-powered giant has set a new altitude record, 96,500 feet, 18.25 miles into the sky. That's a record for a non-rocket-powered aircraft. NASA's poking around at the age of space because scientists think that the atmosphere there might be similar to what's on Mars. The worst flooding in 200 years. Hundreds dead, hundreds more missing, and rescuers starting to give up hope for finding survivors. Russian military hardware, a parade of the stuff used to send shivers down the spine in D.C. But now a fire sale of MiGs and all kinds of high-tech doodads. Leftover embryos leading to legal wranglings like the ones we just showed you. But now a doctor calling it an ethical new plan. Giving couples the babies they want, and only the babies they want. It's a story you'll see on just one network.
Hi, to the Meadowlands, please.
Who is this? It's a Chris Berman. Chris Berman of the moon. Chris Berman! Overboard! No, that was not good. This next will be brilliant. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
Want to get away? Now you can with Southwest Airlines' $39 to $99 sale when you purchase by August 23rd.
You are now free to move about the country.
Refinancing your mortgage may be easier than you think. Just log on to Ditech.com or call 1-800-71-FIX. Today's low fixed rate with 0 points is only 6.875%. With interest rates lower, now may be a great time to get cash or use the equity in your home to consolidate bills. It's smart money from Ditech.com. Apply online or call us at 1-800-71-FIX.
Dry and sunny every day. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Especially if you experience occasional loss of bladder control. That's why Poise is the only pad that's custom fit to keep you drier. The center is gently raised to bring protection closer to you. And it's wider at one end, so you place the protection where you need it most. For a close custom fit that keeps you drier than any other pad. So every day feels dry and comfortable.
There's a way to remove dust and not just move it around. Swiffer cloths have lift and lock pockets to help attract and trap dust and dirt with the swipe of a hand. The Swiffer system cleans even hard-to-reach places. And when you're done, just throw the dust away. When Swiffer's the one, consider it done.
The Irish Republican Army now putting the brakes on a plan to get rid of its weapons and halting peace efforts for Northern Ireland. The IRA leaders say there's still a possibility that they'll get rid of stockpiled weapons at some point in the future. But for now, the Irish rebels say recent British and Protestant demands make it impossible for them to give up their guns. In the meantime, police in London are beefing up security, bracing for possible violence. Ethnic Albanian rebels in Macedonia have agreed to hand over their weapons to NATO, paving the way to cement yesterday's peace agreement. But there's still some shooting near the border. President Bush condemning the extremist groups holding up progress here. A NATO delegation's on the scene and about to carry out the peace plan. A victory for the FBI in Budapest. This police video shows Hungarian special forces busting a ring of international counterfeiters. 4 men arrested last week trying to pass 3 phony U.S. bonds dated 1934, worth, they said, $100 million each. The FBI has several agents working in Hungary to stop organized crime. Freedom for an American jailed during riots last month in Genoa. 21-year-old Susanna Thomas from New Jersey released from prison. She was performing on a city street when a protest theater group, when police grabbed all 19 members, including 2 other Americans, ordered release, but still in jail. Thomas was held on suspicion, that is, of associating with violent anarchists. She's now been expelled and ordered to hop the first available flight out of Italy. A Roman Catholic Archbishop, all the rules getting married, now trying to get himself back in the Pope's good graces. The Archbishop from Zambia threatened with excommunication, but giving up his wife and sending a letter of reconciliation to the pontiff, vowing to remain an obedient servant. The woman he married in a mass wedding earlier this year, starting a hunger strike and claiming she may be pregnant, saying she'll show up at the Vatican every day until she can be reunited with her husband. A flood of misery in Iran and flying high in Russia, so get ready to go around the world in 80 seconds. Iran, underwater, the worst flooding in 2 centuries. 200 people dead, hundreds still missing, with hopes of finding them fading and fast. They're now in body recovery phase. Folks are desperate, depending on helicopters to bring in life-saving supplies, and the Kuwaiti government sending a plane loaded with food, medicine, and tents. Kazakhstan, an outbreak of bubonic plague. 1 man dead and his son may be infected. Doctors believe another 45 locals may be carriers. Now they're looking for the source of the deadly disease. Some dead mice testing positive. That plague passed on to humans by fleas. Russia, showing off some military hardware at a big air show. The country trying to boost sales of planes and defense weapons. President Vladimir Putin on hand for opening ceremonies, hoping to revive Russia's aviation industry. Last year, the country delivered just 4 planes, compared to nearly 500 by U.S. giant Boeing. South Africa, the Universal Circus, the very first black-owned big top in the whole world. It was founded 7 years ago in Atlanta and draws heavily on African-American traditions. Jazz and soul, rap and hip-hop, R&B and gospel all in the mix, thrilling the audience with exciting shows and now entertaining folks around the world in 80 seconds. Shot of the daytime now, and imagine your service was always this fast. It's a waiter race in Hong Kong, professional wait staff going for the gold, working that precious combination of speed and balance. Mainly, it's just fun to watch people with trays tearing down the street without spilling anything. But as always, it's service with a smile, and today, it's our shot of the day. One of America's biggest rock acts, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, all set for a huge gig on foreign turf, but now violent uprising forcing the Peppers to change their tune. And just when it might have seemed like every conceivable Brady Bunch depth has been plumbed, a new take on the sitcom family that will find Mike Brady as the most powerful man on the face of the planet.
Enjoy something made better with time. Slow roast coffee from Maxwell House. It's worth spending time with.
Hey, you like delivery pizza? I like delivery pizza.
It's not delivery. It's French.
For fresh baked pizza at home, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Hey, nice rock.
My Jeep Grand Cherokee's taking me to the great outdoors.
Good idea. You'll never take that thing off-road. You should get an Isuzu Axiom. It's designed for the real world. 2 suspension modes, 230 horsepower V6 for $1,300 less. Brake lights. And it's got America's longest warranty.
Thanks.
Now a new way of having babies. Scientists helping infertile couples and saving them from a difficult decision about what to do with the leftover embryos and avoid possible court battles. It's a story you'll see on just one network.
Dish on Demand is turning up the heat with smash hit pay-per-view movies. Grab your remote, order a pay-per-view movie, and enjoy it on an all-day Dish ticket. Dish on Demand. Wow.
Are you one of the millions of American males who would like increased sexual energy? If you've been considering Viagra as a solution, consider something different. All-natural EnerX. Clinical studies show various ingredients of EnerX enhance sexual energy, increasing desire, performance, and satisfaction. EnerX is all natural with no side effects. With EnerX, you'll feel the increased energy within minutes and with no chemicals. We're so sure you and your mate will be completely satisfied. We'll offer you a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund. EnerX stimulates sexual energy by expanding the blood vessels, causing increased blood flow to specific areas of the body. Unleash the power of EnerX now.
Call 1-800-367-4051 toll-free, and it will be delivered discreetly to your home. Get results using the safe, all-natural alternative, EnerX.
Dish Entertainment Magazine brings home the best in entertainment to keep you tuned into all of your favorite programs. From sci-fi to drama, to mystery, to comedy, we'll show you a world of entertainment that's open to you. It's not just entertainment, but a complete listing of all your favorite programs and networks scheduled on the Dish Network. There's something for everyone, and best of all, it's only $3.95 per month. To order, call 1-800-333-DISH today. Dish Entertainment Magazine. Don't stay home without it.
We told you earlier about a precedent-setting custody battle over frozen embryos. And there could be more legal fights on the way as more and more couples are forced to decide what to do with leftover fertilized eggs that are just sitting there in storage. Do you throw them away? Do you donate them for stem cell research? Well, now would-be parents may not have to make that choice anymore. In a Fox report now from Steve Brown.
Sleepy little Emma came into the world thanks to in vitro fertilization. Usually that involves harvesting a number of eggs from the mother, sometimes a dozen or more, fertilizing them all, then implanting 3 or 4 eggs back into the mother. The leftover embryos are frozen and saved. But as badly as Emma's parents wanted a child, they did not want to face the moral decision about what they would do if they had embryos left over.
That would be a tough choice right now if we had frozen embryos, you know, and they have to destroy those in 5 years. What do you do?
I believe that life begins at conception.
Guided by that conviction, Dr. Klein and his research partner, Dr. Jeffrey Bolt, are working on a new in vitro method where the ethical dilemma could be avoided. Instead of freezing embryos, they are working on freezing human eggs before they are fertilized, before they are embryos, before they are the most fundamental form of human life. The key challenge?
It's very difficult to freeze a human egg and get it to thaw out and be viable.
But 2 years of research has had encouraging results.
We have thawed on 9 patients, and 77% of the eggs have survived the freezing and thawing.
Come on, sweetie.
And last year, after their first in vitro attempt failed, the Harmons chose to freeze Stacy's eggs, not embryos.
And so then, 3 months later, we did the frozen egg in vitro.
Just 2 eggs survived thawing and fertilization. Both were implanted, and one of them became Emma Elizabeth Harmon, just the 3rd baby born in the U.S. created from a frozen human egg.
We just thank God every day that he can give doctors like Dr. Bolt and Dr. Klein the ability to give us this opportunity.
That's awesome.
And while Drs. Bolt and Klein continue working on this in vitro method, which may erase ethical concerns for some couples, they report there is another one of their patients with a frozen egg baby on the way. In Indianapolis, Steve Brown, Fox News.
Hey, what would you do with $1 million? Survivor 2's big winner on life, generosity, and living a permanent vacation. And we blew it yesterday. It was a royal G-block mess up. Teased you with that Clint Eastwood interview stuff and then never handed it over. Not good. Tonight it's all yours. The good, the bad, and the funny inside your G-block. The G-block. Making your day since 1857. And by the way, did you hear about Jackass?
You know Bridgestone sells tires for cars like this, and this, and this. But now we're having a sale on tires for cars like this, and this. Introducing the Insignia SL, a new Bridgestone tire for cars like yours. On sale now during the Insignia sale. You can even take them for a free 30-day test spin. The distinction is Bridgestone, so see your participating Bridgestone retailer or Firestone Tire and Service Center.
Dogs love home cooking, or new pedigree little champions. Gently prepared, then sealed in our revolutionary flavor lock pouch. For the home-cooked taste dogs love.
Yeah. What are you doing there? I'll be right there.
You know when you're not feeling like yourself. You're tired all the time. You may feel sad, hopeless, and lose interest in things you once loved. You may feel anxious, can't even sleep. Your daily activities and relationships suffer. You know when you just don't feel right. Now here's something you may not know. These are some symptoms of depression, a serious medical condition affecting over 20 million Americans. While the cause is unknown, depression may be related to an imbalance of naturally occurring chemicals between nerve cells in the brain. Zoloft, a prescription medicine, works to correct this imbalance. When you know more about what's wrong, you can help make it right. Only your doctor can diagnose depression. Zoloft is not for everyone. People taking medicines called MAOI shouldn't take Zoloft. Side effects may include dry mouth, insomnia, sexual side effects, diarrhea, nausea, and sleepiness. Zoloft is not habit-forming. Talk to your doctor about Zoloft, the #1 prescribed brand of its kind. Zoloft. When you know more about what's wrong, you can help make it right.
Tonight, he'll chart your financial course, and you might want to take stock. His predictions are right on the money. We'll talk to Henry Weingarten. Plus, it's Crazy Eddie, and they're back with a brand new cyber venture that will blow you away. That's tonight on Your World with Neil Cavuto. For exclusive CEO interviews and the latest market moves and investing strategies, log on to foxnews.com. Fox News means business. Next, millions of your tax dollars down the drain. Whitewater, was it really worth it? Robert Ray answers all the tough questions next on The O'Reilly Factor.
Well, the Red Hot Chili Peppers have canceled a planned show in Israel. The Los Angeles band pulling out following the recent increase in violence in the region. 20,000 tickets already sold for the concert, supposed to be held at the end of the month. The recent bloodshed and hostilities have seen Israel's tourism industry drop off by nearly 50%. Jackass, the show that launched 1,000 bruised and busted heads, canceled. The host of Jackass, Johnny Knoxville, deciding to leave Jackass for a career move into the movies. The last original episode of Jackass airing over the weekend, but this may not be the end of Jackass. MTV will continue to repeat Jackass, and Knoxville says there could be some Jackass specials down the road. Once again, Jackass canceled. No more episodes of Jackass. Now the most important news in the world ever. Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz showing up arm in arm for the premiere of the new film Captain Corelli's Mandolin. Earlier in the day, Penelope Cruz nodded yes when asked whether or not she and Tom were dating. You know what? What a relief. And what about this Mandolin movie? Because we're a full-service show. A G-Block report now from Juliet.
At 2 o'clock.
Nicolas Cage adding yet another role to his motley mix of characters.
It's true that my sensibilities a lot of the time are darker and more edgy, and I like that stuff. I felt I wanted to try something different. You know, I wanted to play a character who was very positive and basically very, very sweet and loving life and a gentle man.
In Captain Corelli's Mandolin, the versatile Cage plays an Italian army captain who strums his way into the lives of a local Greek doctor and his beautiful daughter, Spain's ultra-hot ingenue import, and Tom Cruise's rumored new love, Penelope Cruz.
The other night when you were dancing, the way you were moving, I thought I could watch you forever.
I never talk about, I understand to get asked about it, but I never talk about my private life in interviews.
Do you think it's unfair, though? I mean, because a lot of people say, hey, if you're going to put yourself in the spotlight, if you're going to be a congressman, or you're going to be an actress, or you're going to be a TV journalist, you're in the public, so you kind of owe it to the public.
I don't agree with that. I don't think you owe that. I think you owe respect to the public and feel grateful every day to be able to do a job that you like, because I wish everyone could have that. I want to lie across the road so that you can't leave.
But the question is, can a sweet film survive in this MTV-style era of quick cuts and dizzying camera moves?
If it is true and if it's real and it works, I think that an audience would be only too pleased to take it, quite honestly.
Two of Hollywood's hottest stars making beautiful music at the box office. In Los Angeles, Juliet Huddy, Fox News.
Well, Juliet, a side now of Clint Eastwood that most of us have never had the chance to see. It's in the new issue of Gear magazine. The guest editor this time around is Craig Kilborn, and he's sitting with the big guy for a quick interview. Among the highlights here, what Clint's most significant achievement as the former mayor of Carmel, California was? Quitting after one term, saying, quote, Woody Allen is the only actor tougher than he. That's his workout routine consists of putting on a thong leotard and taking Pilates. And as for Clint's current favorite actress, Mary-Kate Ashley Olsen, both of them. And you can read the rest of the interview, including the stuff we didn't repeat in the September issue of Gear magazine. Konnichiwa, pony friends. Prancing ponies, pretty ponies, leaping over majestic Mount Fuji, and the studio crew is roaring with excitement. Ooh, you do get around, young ones. Fly, fly. Savor your four-legged freedom. Thanks, Space Ghost. A new Brady Bunch TV movie in the works. Variety reports it'll be slightly different than what's come before. Here's the story. When the President of the United States leaves office in a scandal, Vice President Mike Brady steps in. Then he makes Mrs. Brady his VP, and this time around, Mrs. Brady and her daughters will be black. Quick hits, because it's time like these when brevity is a dish best served cold or hot, depending on how much you stumble, but it really doesn't matter. E-Online reports now what some scholars could consider a sign of the end times. ABC shooting a Facts of Life reunion show. The show must go on. The Drew Carey Show working around its recovering star, shooting non-Carey scenes while he recovers from heart surgery. And on this day in the year of our Lord 1900, an international force, including U.S. Marines, entered Beijing to stamp out the Boxer Rebellion. The uprising was aimed at purging China of foreign influence. And that's your news in the G Block as Fox reports this Tuesday, August 14, 2001, and still ahead. The most powerful prime time in all of cable news begins with Mr. Bill. And I'm not going to do the rest of it because this. He interviewed Marilyn Manson today on TV, like pre-tape. I don't know when they're airing the thing, but if you see it, you have to watch it. Now, Bill Riley.